sometimes you just want to make a video just to make a video. So I'm gonna talk for a couple of minutes, maybe about whatever the fuck comes to my mind, and then I'll be a video because I want to make a video. So I'm listening to Little Ugly Man right now, right? And I'm thinking like, wow, this motherfucker can rap, but more importantly, this motherfucker can make beats, right? I don't know if he produced all of Mr. Thug Isolation by himself, but I know that he produced like like he released entire like albums worth of archives of the stuff he made. He has like entire rock albums, and of course, this Lil Ugly Man's one of those artists that has like 50 different alternate names, like Aphex Twin or some shit has. So you never know what you'll get with him if you look into a side project. But the main thing about it is that I just really like what's it called, Mr. Thug Isolation, and my favorite track on there is Twistin' featuring Denzel Curry, and Denzel Curry is if see, I don't know, it's very difficult to quantify rap in terms of quality because Denzel Curry is pretty much one of the most like consistent rappers I've ever like seen, right? It's people like him, and it's him and JID Jid. You got Pusha T. You can't really count Clips because No Malice or Malice didn't really rap for a little while. But you can count them. There's like Tyler the Creator, but I think he has to make one more album to count as you know as consistent. I'm saying Denzel Curry has never had anything close to a bad album, right? For a lot of people, Cherry Bomb's a bad album. I'm not saying that. I love that album, but I get it. But the thing about Denzel Curry is that a lot of people don't see him as like one of their favorite rappers of all time, you know, and neither do I. It's not because he isn't quality, isn't putting his heart and soul into it. I don't know what it is about Denzel Curry. I think, I don't know. There's because I feel like because I see a lot of people with like who love Denzel Curry, who's like who love what's it called? What's that album called? I'm forgetting. Oh, also I'm using Tidal right now, right? By the way, you should use Tidal. Fuck Spotify. And with Twistin', it has featuring Denzel Curry, but it doesn't have him tagged as one of the sub artists, so I have to search him. Denzel. Yeah. So like I see a lot of people with Melt My Eyes profile pictures and shit. People love that album, and it's like he's remarkably consistent. But I don't see people like because I think with a rap, it's one of those genres where the top rappers, like it's very hard for people to get themselves to say anyone else. It's very difficult for people to say, especially if you have them like someone in the top that you had. You can't just change that. You have to have a reason for that. Like, okay, someone said Drake is their favorite rapper, right? It can't be because, oh, I like the music he made. Oh, I like, the albums he made, blah, 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 blah. It's, giving me a tough time. It was a moment whenever views came out or blah, blah, blah. It's just like, it has to be, oh, because, it's like verifiable reason. Like, oh, it's because he had hits and that and this and all that shit. He has like, he has factually he has 50,000 songs in the top 10. It's like no one gives a shit about that. And it's like with Denzel Curry, it's like I feel people love his music, and I just think he doesn't have the sense of he doesn't have the cult of personality around him like a lot of other rappers do, or musicians, or even like celebrities or whatever, to make him feel like someone who stands out as one of your favorites. You have to be really in depth with the music to like Denzel Curry to the point that a lot of people with those Melt My Eyes profile pictures do, right? And it's like like Zoo, great album, really fun in the car. Tattoo, not Tattoo, Taboo, fucking Tattoo. It has some really good songs on it. I love Black Balloons. I love Vengeance. I think, what was it, Sirens? Yeah, Sirens, great track. Like, but also I don't know why it's 3 discs. That was, I guess it's like thematic reasons. But pretty solid album. Like I fuck with Unlocked a lot. The Kenny beats, it's just really, it's just really tight. It's just a really tight record, Um, and the Memphis rap, like the Memphis rap revival he always did whenever it was a SoundCloud era, and the King of the Mischievous South now. Like the I think I mean there's volume 2 because there was a volume 1. It was like 2010 or some shit like that. Um, but yeah, like Denzel Curry is one of those rappers that people consistently say is one of the best, but they never have them on, like on the top. He's never in the conversations, and I think there's a lot of issues I have with rap as like talking, and it's like people, it's like the same way people talk about like Pokemon or something. I don't know how to describe it. It's like people talk about certain things just differently, depend like, and it'd be like, if you think it's like the same. I think that's why Tyler Creator said the things he said about like not choosing the same 5 rap albums as your favorites, because I know what he means now. It's like, well, not now, but I know what he means. It's like um everyone feels forced to choose the same 5 albums as their favorites because of, the culture, and because of, the idea of old heads being mad at them, or like because of, you know, they feel it feels disrespectful not to have Jay-Z in your top 10 or whatever. And it's like, yes, you can respect Jay-Z, you can respect Tupac, but you don't have to have them as your favorite albums of all time. You can listen to them and have them as your favorite albums of all time independently of your own thoughts and opinions, but you don't have to have them like in terms of the culture, right? I think Denzel Curry and JID are victims of that, where they consistently make really great albums, but they're not considered one of the best rappers because we're just so stuck on the rappers from the past. We're so, and even in either way, we're stuck on rappers, just in human nature wise, we're just stuck on rappers that, mean a lot to us, like, individually as people, like, have a lot of memories with them, right? And it's like, Kendrick Lamar is one of my favorite rappers because I remember listening to Pimp Butterfly, and I was like literally just mouth agape by the end of the album, right? And it's like, you have to have an experience like that to say that's one of your favorites. And either that, or you have to have some kind of cultural backing to feel comfortable in saying that. You know what I mean? And my whole thing about it is that I think there's a lot of artists who could be considered the greatest in their craft if it wasn't for the routine of keeping the same names up there. It's like it becomes a subconscious thing, right? It's like the rich become richer, And I'm not saying that I think Denzel Curry is the best rapper of all time. Like I said, I think he's just a pretty quality rapper. I'd say like a tier rapper. I've never had a Denzel Curry song where I'm like, man, I don't want to listen to that. I'm like, every time that Zell has a feature, Zell has an appearance, he's always giving his 100%. I fuck with some songs I fuck with really hard, like Ricky and Birds off of Zoo. There's also Ultimate was always a classic. I am the one, no way I touch. Walking. What's it called? Was it The Last? Oh, John Wayne. Oh man, there's a lot of good records on the. Oh, and the fucking new Mischievous South stuff, like the what do you have with ASAP Rocky was Hot One. Yeah, that's ASAP for with the Rocky was Hoodlums. Like a lot of good stuff. And Imperial, you had like, what was it called? Was it Zenith? Oh, the Zenith, because that was with Joey Badass. And it's like the thing about consistency over being like spectacular, right? It's like Kendrick Lamar will release an album that's like a masterpiece, but release one every like 7 years, right? And then you have, like Tyler the Creator, who's releasing a, considered, a beautiful album every 3-ish years, 2 or 3 years, right? And because, beautiful because it's just like his production. And I think because you have to have some kind of um what's the word, like, oh, there's like a word for that. Let me think. Let me turn off Zenith for a second. Um, you have to have some kind of something to pop out. There's like a some kind of niche, some kind of, what's the word? Some kind of fuck it. Like, whenever, like a gimmick of sorts. I don't know what the fuck the other word for that is, but well, not right now. But like, whenever you pop out in someone's mind, they're more likely to give you the idea of attention, and that's why I think, you know, and of course, there's a lot of different factors, but I think, making a complete spectacular album that'll leave your mouth agape on first listen, like, oh my god, that's the kind of album that Kendrick does, right? And, some albums you have to sit with for a while and let them take their time with you. I think it's the albums Tyler does more often. I don't know. I'm trying to just think of like my point here, but Denzel Curry is like one of those rappers who makes an album that's like you have to sit with and you'll be like, God, this is a really good discography, because he consistently makes really great albums, And I think being consistent is not the way you get like every other person on the street to think that Denzel Curry's their favorite rapper of all time, or even in the top 10. You have to do one of those things where it's like you take over the culture for a little while, You have to be a Jay-Z in New York in 1990, whatever the fuck. You have to be a Kendrick Lamar in their like 2010s. You have to be a fucking Kanye West in, the late 2000s, or just general 2000s. You have to like, have that kind of cultural dominance. And I think that's unfortunate because, it's not really about the music as much as it's about the influence, But to be fair, it's just how, it is, So, but I just think that I hope, I think Denzel Curry gets his flowers in a way, but I really do hope that, it becomes proportional to the amount of work and quality that his discography has, Because I think making consistently great albums, should get you a little more than, mention here or there and a feature here or there. But I don't know. I just think that's, I just think that I wouldn't say Denzel Curry's underrated or anything. I think he's solidly rated right now. But I think, but I don't know. I feel like these, maybe a little bit underrated, like a touch, a tad, I don't really know in comparison. I don't really have the numbers in front of me, the streams. I don't have a way to quantify it. But as far as I know, I think his concerts are really well done, right? We kept really well attended. So I mean, it's like, he's fine. But I'm just thinking about it in general, just like, a rapper like, fucking like Quelle Chris. I like a lot of Quelle Chris albums. There's Guns. There's, what was it called? Death Fame. Like probably one of the rappers that I'd probably consider one of the better rappers of all time. Probably gonna be in the top 10, maybe like a top 100 list. But I definitely listen to Guns a lot. Everything's Fine, but Being Used, great. Death Fame, really great albums. And it's not gonna be a rapper that you find any kind of list very often. You have to, if you find they'd have like, if you find someone mentioning them, like he'd be either as a producer for someone else's albums or just like one particular record, right? And I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. Just like consistency doesn't give you the same returns as being spectacular once or twice does. It's like a neutral milk hotel kind of thing. It's like they knew. It's like, it's like one of those things where it's like if you have one or two amazing albums, like a Lauryn Hill, then you'll be considered the GOAT no matter what you do because you've never had a chance to fuck up. Even though Lauryn Hill's late to every goddamn show she does, because most people don't know it because they only remember her for being the spectacular singer and rapper on The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, So I don't know. My point here is that even though I randomly started talking, I think my point here is that we should respect consistency more in terms of, art, in terms of discographies, in terms of stuff like that, and some people would say, oh, it's, boring to have the artist be doing the same thing. But especially like, now I will say like people like Denzel Curry, Tyler Creator, they always try to change up their style significantly between albums, right? At least significantly enough to make them have their own identity, if not, musically, then at least visually. But that's very difficult. I can say that is very difficult, But even then, it's like if you like something, you know, like Pusha T is one of my favorite rappers. I can firmly say that. And first of all, I don't like his first couple of solo albums. I'm not gonna lie to you. There's a lot of stuff on there that feels really of the time, but the Clip stuff and the later solo albums and the new Clip album, like, all fantastic. And I'm just like, I just want more of that coke rap. I don't mind whatever he's rapping about that shit. He can rap about it all day, every day. He always makes it sound cool, So I'm just saying, like, there's nothing wrong with consistency, And I think that, Denzel Curry is a victim of people's tendency to underrate consistency for art, if you have a novelist that has a style and they consistently write a novel every 5 years, that's, fantastic, and they have their own style. They don't have to change everything. They don't have to throw away the fucking entire book every time to make something good, At least that's what I think. But that's just my opinion. Anyway, bye.